What's up, everybody? The other day we talked about PayPal, and today we're going to talk about FISERV. This is another troubled financial services company. Obviously, the stock has been down a lot. If you've been following this one, down about 70% over the past year. Over 5 years, really doesn't look any better, still down over 50%. From the peak here, in fact, we're down more than 75%. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm pretty bullish on this company. I've been buying the stock pretty much ever since this drop back in November of last year. I first bought at $65 a share. I've been adding to this position over the past 6 months. My average cost here is about $60 a share. I mean, if we just look at the 6 months, it's essentially traded between the mid to low 50s up to 70. Pretty range bound. And on this earnings report, market obviously didn't like it. Stock was down about almost 10%. So we're going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing with my position here, and I'll let you know what I think about the risk reward. As always, nothing here is advice to buy or sell any of the stocks that we're talking about. I just tell you what I'm doing with my money. And if you get value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to grab my Google Sheets template for analyzing stocks or join my Discord, consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. Now, let's get into it. And before we get into the quarter, just very briefly, what does FISERV do? I've talked about this company a number of times before, so we're not going to go in depth, but essentially, there are two sides to this business. There's the merchant solution side, and here they have these point of sale terminals. You've probably seen these, especially at small businesses. The largest part of merchant solutions for them is Clover. And then the other half of the business is financial solutions. This is what I think of as their core legacy business. Digital payments, issuing, this is mostly credit cards, and banking. Most banks and credit unions, they don't actually handle the core processing of what's going on with their accounts. They're customer facing. They have relationships with their clients, businesses, individuals. But as far as handling, what you might think of as the operating system of the bank, when someone transfers money from one account to another, this account needs to be debited, that account needs to be credited. Someone needs to handle payments, money transfer, and keeping track of how much is in each account. That's actually typically not the bank or credit union that's doing that themselves. They have a relationship with a core processor, and FISERV is the market leader here. The other two big players are Jack Henry and Fidelity, but FISERV definitely has the largest market share. This is critical infrastructure, and also the churn here has been pretty low. It's very tedious for a bank to move from one core processor to another. So this has been a steady, profitable segment. Now that we know what the company does, what's the problem? Why is the stock down so much? Why do people hate this company? Well, there's a few problems, but if we were to point fingers at just one of these two segments, it's mainly financial solutions that's the issue. On the merchant side, there may be other players that are growing faster, but Clover has actually been a bright spot of their earnings reports for the past few quarters. But the previous management has really taken advantage of the fact that it's difficult for banks to switch over from one processor to another. Even on the merchant side, it's a little bit annoying to switch from, say, Clover to perhaps Block, let's say. And the previous management was increasing their fees, was sacrificing customer experience in order to try to milk short-term results, to pull forward revenue as much as possible. The previous CEO, by the way, left last year in 2025. FISERV had grown their earnings per share by double digits for decades. This is a long-term compounder. And even though organic growth was slowing, I think previous management wanted to squeeze those results for as long as possible. And they were willing to sacrifice long-term health of the business in order to make the short-term look better. The wake-up moment came last year after their Q3 report. The new CEO, Mike Lyons, came in and said, we need to do a complete reset. We need to focus on our customers. We're rolling back some of these fee increases. We're investing more in making sure our customers just have a good experience working with us. Churn and attrition of clients, which I said was low, was picking up. He said, we need to stabilize that. And there was a complete shakeup at this company. Not just a new CEO, there was a new CFO, new people on the board, old board members were out. You have new people coming in pretty much across the entire company. On this earnings call, they said, to drive these efforts, we continue to add outstanding talent across the organization, including new heads of operation for both merchant solutions and financial solutions, new chief revenue officers for Clover and enterprise merchant, and a new head of product for financial solutions. The team that's running the show here for FISERV is essentially all new people from where it was last year. It's a new philosophy, it's a new focus. Now, as far as why I'm invested here, again, this is the market leader. FISERV is going to be around for a very long time, serving banks and credit unions. Not to mention Clover and the merchant side, which is still growing decently well. I like the new management. I think they're straight shooters. I think it's what the company needs right now. And they reiterated their guidance for the year of roughly $8 in adjusted earnings per share. The stock price today is just about 7 times that number. Now, they are adjusting for amortization related to some of the businesses that they've acquired. I think that's a fair adjustment. They do adjust for some other things like expenses related to their one FISERV plan. Not sure I necessarily agree with all of those adjustments, but even still, if you're just looking at free cash flow, this company is trading for less than 8 times free cash flow right now. It's a dirt cheap valuation for a company that in its core business actually has, I think, a pretty strong moat. And despite lowering fees, reinvesting back into the business, the change in mindset from previous management, they're still a cash flow machine. Now with that, let's get into the numbers for this quarter, because the numbers, when you just look at them, they don't look pretty. I don't think the actual story is quite as bad as the numbers imply, and I'll talk about why. But for the quarter, adjusted revenue growth down 2% year over year. Organic revenue growth down even more, close to 4% down on this measure. Adjusted operating margin under 30%, which is certainly lower than what we've seen from the company recently. Now, I will say in the beginning of the year, this is pretty much what they were guiding for. In fact, they even put the comparison here. What they guided for a few months ago, down low single digits for adjusted revenue. They turned out down 2%. Adjusted operating margin, they said, it's going to be just below 30%. That's where they came in at. So they're pretty much delivering the numbers they said they were going to deliver. As far as for the full fiscal year, they're talking about adjusted revenue growth of 1 to 3% with adjusted earnings per share of 8 to 8.30. If free cash flow is 90% of that, you're talking about guidance for free cash flow for the year to be about 720 to close to 750. Again, when you look at the price of the stock today, the stock is trading for just $57. So less than 8 times free cash flow. Now, you might say, okay, it's less than 8 times free cash flow, but the revenue growth here is not great at all. It looks like growth has stopped. And I think the numbers here are hiding part of the story. Yeah, this quarter, revenue declined. That sounds like the company is contracting, but it really isn't. In terms of volumes, volume is up. Small business volume growth was 7%. Enterprise transaction growth up 8%. The gross payment volume was up 12% overall. If you exclude gateway conversions, up 9% reported. I mean, these are great numbers. Whether you're looking at transactions or payments, that's up, but revenue is down. They cut back on a ton of their fees, and you see that this quarter as a lowering in revenue, a lowering in margins. But the underlying volume trend is telling the story that the business is actually doing fine. They're just not milking their customers as much as they were a year ago. The goal is that's going to lower churn, and it's going to allow for more sustainable growth going forward. Financial Solutions was a bit of a similar story. Transactions were up. The amount that they were actually processing is up. Yet, in spite of this, revenue and margins are down. The CEO talked on the call quite a bit about the client experience, about client satisfaction, and just to give you a sense, to read you part of it, in Financial Solutions, we saw solid underlying business volume growth. New business sales showed continued momentum. We hit important product delivery milestones, and we saw an improvement in key client service metrics. While core bank account and revenue attrition remains above our long-term trend, we've seen early signs that our client service initiatives have been well received. We're also getting positive client feedback on our decision to continue supporting all of our cores, and we are signing and renewing customers across all core. The overarching message from the new CEO is they're turning a ship that previously was focused on margins as much as possible, and now is more focused on client service, client experience, lowering churn and attrition, and being competitive for the long term. Volumes are up, and even though revenue for the quarter is down, I really don't think that's telling the story of what's going on at this company. The market clearly didn't like the report because, as I said before, it was down, roughly 10% on this. And the headline numbers they're going to report next quarter, they're going to look pretty ugly too. Management said straight up, our quarter 2 revenue growth numbers, they are not going to look good. As we told you in February, we expect the second quarter to be the trough in terms of our year-on-year revenue decline. And we expect our Financial Solutions business to decline at the high end of mid-single digits in quarter 2. And then they say in the second half of the year, we expect things to look better. We continue to expect adjusted operating margin of 35 to 36%. This is for the second half, with Q4 representing the high point in the year. So even though thus far they've hit their numbers, I think justifiably, a lot of people don't necessarily trust the management of FISERV. They want to see results, and right now the reported results aren't good. I think if FISERV hits their full year targets, if they're actually, nailing 35% operating margin in the second half of the year, if they're showing growth in the third and fourth quarters, I think the stock is going to respond. But of course, that's a far way off, and many people I think have just decided they don't want to touch this thing. Now, with that said, I think it's time we come over to our sheet, we look at our assumptions for the future, and we decide, what's a reasonable return on our investment that we could expect for FISERV stock today. And the assumptions that I have in here for my base, bear, and bull case, these are the same assumptions that I had back in February, last time we looked at FISERV on the channel. And in my base case, I was assuming no revenue growth for this year. Again, they're guiding for 1 to 3%. And then I was assuming 4% revenue growth every year after that. Operating margins, I have around 28%. Free cash flow margin is pretty consistent to where they are now. And I was giving this company an 11 times multiple, which I think is fair for a market leader. Their balance sheet isn't the best. We haven't talked about their debt. I have talked about their debt in the past. Pretty significant net debt position. Now they can handle this with their cash flows. I think it's acceptable, but that is something to keep in mind. But one thing I should point out, when I talk about a multiple here, I'm looking at a multiple of enterprise value to operating income. So their enterprise value, that is taking into account all the debt that's sitting on their balance sheet. And if I give them an 11 times multiple, then if the assumptions in my base case come true, I'm looking at a 21% annualized return on this stock over 5 years. That's a little over a 160% return over that time. Now, in my bear case, I was assuming no revenue growth ever for 5 years. This company is not going to grow. Operating margin, free cash flow margin, they're both going to pull back from where they are now. And I'm only going to give this company a 9 times multiple. And if those assumptions come true, then you're still getting a 4% annualized return, basically the same that you would get in a money market fund or high yield savings account. Now, when you look at what's going on with transaction volume, with accounts, with the gross payment volume on the merchant side, all those things are growing. I actually think no revenue growth for 5 years is an extremely pessimistic view of what is still the market leader in core banking. Nevertheless, you're still up money in this scenario. Now, my bull case, I was looking at 4% revenue growth for the next 2 years. That's probably optimistic. I don't think they're going to hit that. And then 7% growth after that. Operating margins of 30%. It's probably a little high. Free cash flow margin, 22%. Also, a bit on the optimistic side. I mean, it is my bull scenario. I do think it's possible that they get to these numbers, although not this year. And then I'm giving them an 18 times multiple. And while that might sound like a ton today, sentiment can turn on businesses extremely quickly. And if the assumptions in this scenario come true, you're looking at a 44% annualized return on this stock over 5 years. That would be more than a 6x on your money in this time. Overall, FISERV under $60 a share, I just think the risk reward is great. That isn't advice for you to buy the stock. It's just my opinion. I tell you what I'm doing with my money, and for me, FISERV is the 4th largest holding in my portfolio right now. I'm very bullish on this company, and frankly, there wasn't really anything in this earnings report to change my opinion on that. I'm happy to just keep holding my position here. So with that, I hope you got value out of the video. If you did, subscribe to the channel. If you want to grab my template or join my Discord, consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, let me know why down in the comments, and I hope to see you all in another video.